Hi, we are here with Peter Sage, extreme entrepreneur, philanthropist, and international speaker. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for being on the show. Peter, you've spoken all around the world with the likes of President Clinton, Richard Branson. You've started over 20 different businesses. But my first question for you would be, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
What inspired me to become an entrepreneur? Great question. I think it's an age-old question. Are entrepreneurs born or are they made? And the answer clearly is both. You know, we have a predisposition naturally to go towards what fits our personality. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't go out and learn the skills of becoming an entrepreneur yourself. And I think I had both. You know, there was certainly a part of me when I was 5 years old. I remember my headmistress calling my mother into the office actually when she came to pick me up from school at 5 years old and says, "Mrs. Sage, I think your son's going to be a businessman." And I don't even remember this story. It's my mum telling me years after. It says, "Oh, why is that?" It's one of these old kind of battle axe headmistresses that have been around for years, and even the parents were afraid of her. And so she says, "Well, in art class today, we all made sweets and coloured them in and cut them out, and your son went around and sold his and took everybody's dinner money." And so I think it was a natural predisposition towards business at some point. But you know, it's like anybody can learn to play the guitar. You don't have to be Eric Clapton. Yeah? So somebody's going to be born with a natural innate talent to be Jimi Hendrix. But everybody can learn to play the guitar. Everybody can learn to be an entrepreneur by following some key characteristics. But for me, I also didn't want to really settle for a job. You see, a job for most people, as we know, is just over broke. And it's really saying, I would rather sell out on my need for certainty rather than follow my passion and go for uncertainty and fulfillment. And if I'm earning, let's call it 100x a week in a job, then clearly the job is worth more than that. Otherwise, the owner of the company wouldn't be paying me 100x.
Exactly.
So therefore, I always knew at an early age that getting a job was always going to be, by definition, settling for less than what I was worth, and that just didn't sit right. I'd rather go out and swing the bat and see what happens. And you know, sometimes you strike out, occasionally you strike, you know, a home run, and everything in between. And that was when I really discovered that it's not about what you get as an entrepreneur. It's the experience of being an entrepreneur, which is where the real value and the gold lies. And it's hard to experience that unless you actually let go of that safety net and go swing the bat.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's brilliant. Yeah, like you said, it's who you become, right, when setting a goal. Another question, Peter, there's many speakers that have been coming into the South African market, as you know, dozens of them. Question for you, what would you say makes you different or sets you apart from all of the rest of them?
What sets me apart from other speakers? Well, for a start, I'm me, and they're them. You know, somebody came up to me the other day and says, "You know, I really want to be like you." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate the complimentary intent, maybe, but you know, don't try to be like me because I'm taken. You know, be the best version of you can be." And you know, I've been in the industry many years. I've seen a lot of different kinds of speakers, and I think some of them are coming from a place that certainly I was in the beginning. It's all part of the journey. And that is, we come because we want to try and influence people to like us. And so therefore we want to sell ourselves to the audience, and we're afraid of trying to hurt them. We want to tell them what we think they want to hear. That's not an authentic speaker. An authentic speaker comes from a place saying, "Listen, I don't care if you like me. I don't need you to know my name. I'm here because I want to share with you something that I think will offer some real value. And I don't want to make you all comfortable and then, you know, try and sell you on something. What I want to do is I want to make you uncomfortable, because real change comes from discomfort. There's no incentive to get out of bed when it's nice and warm and you're tired. The incentive to get out of bed is when you know, the sheets are on fire." So I'd like to be able to come and offer hopefully a level of authenticity around the fact that, you know, with the greatest of respect, I don't need your approval. I don't need you to like me. I just need you to be honest enough with yourselves to listen to something, so that if I hold up a mirror to show you your greatness, to allow you to see the benefit of who you are for the first time on some of the blind spots, then hopefully you'll start listening to it. Or if I have to slap you around the head a little bit, as every good teacher knows, you know, we all need a good slap now and again. And I say that, you know, facetiously, but emotionally, a lot of people stay way too comfortable to be great.
Yes.
And so what makes me different? I don't know. I don't know all of the other speakers, but I can only say that as long as I'm being authentic, as long as I can tell you what I think is of service to you, not to me, then hopefully we're going to resonate.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Another question people ask is, what qualifies you, so to speak, to actually give them advice? So a question would be, do you come from money or did you make it?
What qualifies me to give advice? For a start, a lot of people don't know the difference between advice and opinion. I'll tell you the difference very quickly. Yeah? Advice is something that is given to you by somebody who has first-hand experience of what it is that you want to know about, and it's devoid of any personal bias or hidden agenda, commercial or otherwise. So I'll say that again. Advice is being able to learn from somebody who's actually done and achieved what it is that you're trying to do and achieve, and it's delivered without any bias or hidden agenda.
So that would be a problem with people that are close to friends and family, and they're not taking that as advice when it could be just opinion.
Well, let me tell you what opinion is. Everything else. And so, and opinions are okay. Everybody's got more than one. But if you're coming from a place of looking for advice versus opinion, at least know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, because of my background, 23 years of making millions, losing millions, and everything else, I have a little bit of experience when it comes to success and failure and understanding the difference. I've also spent 25 years in personal development, studying. That was your helicopter ride, just coming for you all. Or are we telling the truth in advance then? Soon, buddy, soon. So, if you can come from a place of understanding people as well as business, understanding what's behind the layer of the onion that most people get stuck at, then you have a little bit more insight into delivering value. But if you get caught up in trying to validate your own sense of what's right or wrong by getting somebody else to agree with it, then nothing's ever going to change. So I started with nothing. My parents weren't rich, and I went out, swung the bat, struck out a few times, hung a few home runs, and everything in between. But we all give advice on what we know. We all give opinion on what we don't. As long as you know the difference, then at least you're in charge.
Fantastic, thanks for that. Obviously, just being an entrepreneur and doing all of the businesses you've done, you must have failed a lot of times. So the question would be, how many times would you say you failed, and what would be your biggest lesson?
How many times have I failed, and what's my biggest lesson? Well, here's where we start to get into definition. You see, to me, failure isn't falling down. It's staying down when you fall. The problem with failure is most people don't recognize it as their capital. Failure is your capital. And so how can you actually have an association to failure? If you fall down and lose, you fall down and lose. If you're going to swing the bat, you're not going to hit every time. If you're going to roll the dice, you're going to roll out. Sometimes you're going to get double six. Great. But that's the journey. That's the game. So, if you use the definition, how many times have things not gone according to plan, then, we're talking a different conversation. Probably, on that time, I've probably failed more times than I've won.
Yeah.
But I keep my average number of tries high. That's the key. It's never failure. It's a learning curve. Failure is your capital. All of your success comes from your experience based upon your failures. At that level, there is no failure. Now, what's been my biggest lesson? My biggest lesson is being able to turn my past to wisdom. If you cannot turn your past into wisdom and you're carrying around regrets and being tentative because you got burnt once by the wrong business partner, then you're never going to be able to have that level of embracing life with the gusto that's required to squeeze out every drop to live the life you were born to live. That would be my answer.
Yeah, and just expanding on that, a lot of people are really afraid of success. Why do you think that is?
People are afraid of success for many reasons. One, we don't like change when we're comfortable with the environment around us. So the people who like us now like the person who we are now. And if we become more than that, then we may risk losing or offending or upsetting or distancing the people that we currently are comfortable to have as in our circle of friends. The other thing is that a lot of people confuse their self-worth with their net worth. And if you do that, then your sense of self is always going to be pegged to an identity that states that I'm not as good as someone who I'm not right now. People earn plus or minus 10 or 20% where they, what they need to earn and what they see themselves earning, genuinely, and not a penny more. So people are afraid of success because they don't know what it'll mean.
A lot of young entrepreneurs out there, aspiring entrepreneurs, but still you see the path most taken is go to school, get a degree and get into the corporate world. And you see a lot of young, aspiring, ambitious entrepreneurs, but what would your advice be for them, once they want to start out, want to get out into the business world and become entrepreneurs? What advice would you have?
Well, I've got to be careful that I don't sort of go too heavy on traditional education here, because it plays a role. Traditional education, as opposed to no education, is a great education.
Yes.
But luckily, I never suffered the disadvantage of college. And as a result of that, I got out of the game because school for me taught me two things. It taught me how do I pass tests and work for somebody else.
Yes.
And how do I sell out my certainty? And I wasn't prepared to do that. So for me, the ability to handle uncertainty is the key dynamic for an entrepreneur. If somebody is following their heart versus following the pity pot of certainty and the breadcrumbs that leaves, then they already know where they need to go. You can't get fit by reading about lifting weights. You want to be an entrepreneur, go swing the bat, fall over a few times, scrape your knee. That's part of the game. We develop an immune system by having access to germs. You develop your entrepreneurial muscle by having access to entrepreneurial opportunities that may or may not take you out. You get up, you get stronger, you become better for it, you go out and you play the game again. So if somebody's saying, oh, do I follow the certainty path? And, well, for some people, they may need a set of training wheels. They may say, okay, I'm going to have a job over here that gives me a little bit of certainty so that I can build up enough capital, experience, what have you, in order to go on my own. You hear that a lot, but here's the caveat. Set yourself a very specific exit strategy on that deal. Otherwise, it'll keep you locked in. It's always, tomorrow, the next week, when I feel certain enough, when this happens, and that never happens. Say, no, 6 months and I'm out. Or, give me X amount of rand in the bank and I'm out. Then I'll go. Non-negotiable. Promise to myself. And at least then you've got something to aim at, and at least then you've got something that can give you a get-out-of-jail-free card when you feel trapped in your job.
Peter, I've been privileged enough to be mentored by you, and luckily, I can attribute a lot of my success to being associating myself with people and mentors, so to speak. So, what advice would you give people that don't have mentors, and the importance of having a mentor in your life?
Well, if you're happy to be your own mentor, then look in the mirror and be happy with where you're at, because it's very rare that you can grow without having the benefit or hindsight, certainly quickly and less painfully, of people that have walked the path before. That's what I said, advice versus opinion. Mentors are people who come from a place of wanting to contribute, and they'll hold you accountable. They don't need the good opinion of you liking them. They're past that. They want a friend, they'll buy a dog. When it comes down to being mentoring somebody, holding them accountable is critical. Being able to say, have a sense of tough love is critical, because they're coming from a place of wanting to serve the greater good with where you're at, not be your friend. You don't want to be a yes person. So having mentors is critical. You want to take a fast track to success? Mentorship is non-negotiable. Approaching mentors is what scares most people. And you'd be amazed if people who are successful like to give back. It's their way of being able to contribute, and maybe somebody helped them and now it's their turn. Being afraid to ask is what stops most people having mentors.
And one of the most profound things that's shifted in me since I started working with you was working on the inner world and developing a routine. And I found the practice of meditation specifically has been of great benefit to me. How has meditation helped you, and how important do you find that in your daily life?
Let me give you a fast track here to an awareness that it gets deeper every time you visit it. Our outer world, the story of our life, the stuff of our life, the thing that sucks in the drama for most people, their life situation or their life story. And we all have a story. The outer world always follows the inner world. If you've got chaos out here, check what's going on in here. Because happiness is nothing more than thinking happy thoughts, unless you've not figured that out yet. So, from a perspective of meditation quietens the mind. It stops the drama. It stops all of the mindless, senseless chatter. It allows us to get present, get centered, and from that place we make better decisions. If we've got drama going on out here, get centered first, then decide. Accept, because you can't change. accept what's already happened, and then choose to respond. And if you go running off, sucked into the drama, then I think we all know where that path leads. So meditation is a critical practice for being able to stay centered and have a higher sense of resourcefulness on dealing with the things that you call your outer world.
Fantastic. Quick few questions here, PD. Skydiving or bungee jumping?
Skydiving, without a shadow of a doubt. Many hundreds of times.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Meat eater, hey?
I'm a natural-born carnivore. I tried to be vegan for a year and a half, and I was so thin I had to run around in the shower to get wet.
Favorite country?
Oh, very contextual. Obviously, on this interview, I'll be saying South Africa. I love this country for many reasons, but I love other countries for reasons too. I would probably say favorite planet, and definitely Earth.
Oh, nice, fantastic. And favorite music genre, at least?
I like classical because it helps me relax. I like sort of Motown 50s, 60s rock and roll because I grew up with it with my dad, managing a 50s, 60s Motown kind of disco. Some of the modern rap, hip hop stuff, I'm not a huge fan, to be fair, unless it contains something that's inspiring as a story or lyrics, not the typical bleep bleep kind of deal that most kids grow up with these days. Easy listening, jazz is great. That's it. Yeah, so not a one-word answer on that one, I'm afraid.
And color?
Blue.
Word. Yes, blue. Okay. Well, on that note, Peter, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been great to be part of the IAM-Entrepreneur channel. And thank you to Oliver for giving the opportunity to be able to share today.
Fantastic.
Go live your dreams and stay amazing.